So hello, I'm Max, and I'm going to talk to you about my experience going through the procedures of learning the Pimax Crystal Super Micro OLED. I've heard a lot of people kind of talk about the Pimax and other different things and say it's got wonderful quality image and so on and so forth, and that is true. It's absolutely exceptional. However, I've never used a VR headset before this, so I think I'm coming at it from quite a different perspective than a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers you'll have watched, and I want to give you an honest kind of appraisal of my journey. Essentially, there are a lot of differences that I think are needed to be discussed, because it's very different to what I was expecting. So let's get off and I'll start talking. So we'll push up a little bit here. Now I've chosen the helicopter just because I can kind of park anywhere and we'll have a little fly around. I'm in Jurassic World Archipelago at the moment, the Orbx product. So we can have a little fly around. I won't talk about any of the dinosaurs, try not to crash into a wall. Won't talk about the dinosaurs or anything like that. It's purely a conversation about the Pimax, but this is such a beautiful world to kind of fly around in. You get some beautiful scenery and things to look at as we talk. There is the ultra wide and the 50 ppd. I've not used those, and I'm not really going to talk about the differences or anything like that, but I am using the micro OLED. This is the one I would choose for myself. I try and record with the best quality I possibly can, and that does include color and chroma, so you get a better final quality kind of gamma range to play with in the edit. The micro OLED has got what I was looking for, and whilst I'm here I can tell you that it does tick those boxes very nicely. Now, as I say, I am new to VR. If you've not used VR before, then you need to kind of manage your expectation. But I had a vision in my head that VR was closer to the real world experience than I was expecting, or that I got. Is that a kind of bad review on the Crystal Super? No, it's not. But I came at it with unrealistic expectations. I was expecting a full field of view, but that would require like 8K or 16K worth of monitor power, and that's just not realistic for now. But after about 20 minutes, half an hour of tinkering, and it got to the point in which I was happy. But it takes a bit of time for your eyes and your body to kind of get used to the experience. So where we stand at the moment, this is an exceptional VR headset, and I would be at a point now where I think that VR is worth putting some money into and purchasing. So I wouldn't call myself a Luddite at all about this kind of thing. I have just watched the technology grow and evolve, and I think now we've reached a point in which you can say, okay, technology is worth looking at. So what is the difference? Well, unfortunately, what you're seeing now on the monitor is not what I'm experiencing. You are not getting the full experience. It relies on a number of different things. Yes, it is about the quality and the amount of pixels, but the depth perception in VR is incredibly prominent, and that really envelops you into the world. You feel it. You are surrounded by the image, and because you're in VR, you have no distractions. You don't feel as though you're in a room because you have no visual knowledge of it. You're sitting down on a seat as you would be sitting down on a seat in a helicopter. You have your joystick and throttle and rudder pedals. So you are essentially sitting in a helicopter. Even though you can use track IR and stuff like that, and that's wonderful, and I do have that, the difference is you have no other kind of point of reference. So your only reference is in sim, and that's it. One of the things that I would warn about though is For me, I don't get motion sickness at all. I mean, you can stick me on a boat in a storm with a sandwich and a book, and I'd be happy to do all three simultaneously without even hinting at the colour green. But I am scared of heights, or falling from heights. So that's one thing that really changes the game. When you're looking at a monitor with track IR, you are still in a room and you know you're all good. With VR, when you go over the top of a mountain and look down onto the valley that you're crossing, when I first had an experience of that, I was questioning whether I should hit the escape button and just abort the whole flight, because it really struck me massively. I mean, the whole physiology of my body was screaming, "Oh dear, that's not good." So, and that's what I mean about the VR experiences. It really draws you in because of what you can see, but also because of what you can't see. There's lots of iterations of the Pimax, and I think they've actually got the formula right now. Even though you've got the Dream Air coming out, and this is the more traditional kind of bulkier headset, but you can swap it out and choose different lenses, so there's that kind of benefit. But the quality of audio in my ears now as standard is good. I'm actually recording my voice through the Pimax here, so you can gauge the quality. I will put a couple of effects like noise reduction and echo and all the rest of it off. Other than the horrific state of my nasally, mumbly voice, you'll be able to hear the quality. So when I started, I put on the headset, and there's a lot of calibration that needs kind of looking into, and it takes a while. When I first put it on, I really needed to adjust where the distance between your eyes is, whatever it is, IPD, because it was very blurry. But once I dialed it in, the center was nice and high quality, and the edges were problematic for me. I found there's a lot of chromatic aberration, which is where the colors kind of separate on the edge of the screen. You get a kind of rainbowy red and blue separation. But again, you can dial that in and get rid of it. Now I've got a powerful computer, got a 4090 in it, and I actually prefer taking off the foveated rendering, because I find that if you've got the focus in the center nice, but everything else is kind of becoming more fluffy and less high quality, for me it's like looking through a milk bottle, and I don't like it. I've got pretty good eyesight, and it feels strange to have kind of blurry bokeh on your vision. So I tend to turn that off, which means obviously I've got to spend a bit more of my memory and GPU compute on that. But playing around with the quality settings and all those kind of bits and pieces, you will be able to dial it in. So the preference is always smoothness of frame rate, and then from there you go for the quality, best quality settings you can get away with. Now don't fall into this trap. I'm recording this footage for you guys now as I speak, but if you're just flying in VR and you're not recording, you don't need to be wasting any of your graphics compute on your monitor. But you can do an awful lot reducing the monitor's render quality without affecting the Pimax. Try do most of it in the Pimax Play software, but you can really reduce a lot of the strain if you reduce things like DLSS, performance on the monitor, so you can push all the compute to the Pimax. Really turn it down and then just push all of the quality into the VR headset, and you will be good to go. You'll get really nice quality, really nice frame rates, and a great experience. At the moment, in my headset, I'm only running at medium settings because I want to push ridiculous image quality to you guys. But even in these circumstances, it is a very enjoyable experience. So going back to my fear of heights, or the motion kind of situation, the first week or so, I was concerned. I record videos for Orbx, and a lot of my day is spent flying around lots of different aircraft. So I wanted to get over my kind of fear of heights, and to be honest with you, I think this might be a good way for me to get used to heights and get over those heights by kind of flooding myself with that experience. Just purely because I've not used a VR headset and my mind has had to kind of develop a new set of skills, as it were. You may find that the motion of the VR headset, or what you're doing, is tricking your brain into kind of saying, oh, something's going on here, there's a lot of motion going on, so we must be moving through space. But obviously you're not, you're sitting down, moving not an inch. And therein lies the problem, because when you come out of VR, it is quite often the case that you can feel as though you're still in motion. It's a dizziness which isn't a kind of spinning round dizziness. It is if you've ever been on a train and you're looking out the window and the train stops but the whole world seems to keep kind of moving. It is that kind of vibe. And when you've come out of a VR kind of flight session, you can feel when you're walking around pretty unbalanced, and it can feel a little bit nauseating, a little bit concerning. I mean, I'm not an old man, but it kind of speaks to me like, you know, when you get old and you start losing your balance or whatever, it kind of feels like how I imagine that would feel. But after about a week, your brain adapts and you realize, oh, okay, I know what it is, and it starts to minimize and it no longer becomes a problem, which is great. But I was tempted in the first week or first few days to go, oh, maybe I'm not able to cope with this. But I pushed on through. So if you have that experience, you purchased the Pimax and you're having that experience, push on through. It's just something which you just have to get your brain used to it. And this is my first time in VR, so a lot of catching up to do, essentially. But once you've got it, the experience in VR is exceptional. Another one of those things which I wasn't happy with at the beginning, but again, your brain just adapts to it. You don't have the field of view that you would normally have in the real world. And it is looking through essentially ski goggles, but your brain adapts, turns it off, and you kind of forget about it, really. And the weight of the headset is noticeable, very well balanced, I do have to say, which is incredibly important. Very well balanced, so it is very comfortable. But it would be akin to wearing a headset of sorts. So again, and that extra weight on your head, it adds to the realism of, you know, again, being a pilot. One problem that you may struggle with if you're using frame generation with NVIDIA, that is not going to translate through to your VR headset. Okay, so don't waste effort, you know, trying to add additional frames with frame gen. You've got to go old school and try and get the best frame rate you can, kind of natively, as it were. Now that's helped with DLSS 4.5. So if you are just using the VR headset, and you've turned down your monitor resolution to stupidly low, then you'll probably be able to get like 40 or 50 or maybe even 60 frames per second if you dial down the quality, whatever you're satisfied with. Because I'm filming in 4K at 10-bit color, most of the GPU compute is focused on what you see. I can only do a solid locked 30 frames a second, so that's what I've done. And then in the editing suite, I'll use a AI frame generation to add in the missing kind of frames and smooth it off. But if I was just filming straight from the monitor without the VR headset, I can lock off a very high quality 60 frames a second, which is nice. Ooh. Terrible landing, but there we go. That's cool. It's all very well and good. Let's go and have a quick look around. And this is the thing about the archipelago, which I think is worth noting, is you can have a run around as well and kind of look around what your environment is. You can go and stroke the dinosaurs and stuff like that. There's lots of islands to look around in the archipelago, and you can fly from Costa Rica, where you can come and fly to Jurassic World archipelago. But again, in the VR headset, you can't really see what it feels like to be in this room, because I am literally in this room. There is no way to really describe the depth when it's on a flat screen. This won't be as close as it is for you guys as it is for me, because the monitor actually wraps right round your kind of vision. Everything is very close, and there is a real sense of depth when you're in VR. You don't have, not even nearly, the kind of depth that you feel within the image. I mean, you are literally walking in an environment with ski goggles on. So overall, what do I think about the Pimax Crystal and my experience? You need to push through, you need to persevere, and your journey could be very easy. You could be set up, one and done, you're okay. But if you're experiencing some issues, keep dialing in the settings, keep playing with it until you're satisfied. Then just allow your brain to get used to the new experience. It will rewire itself to match the Crystal Super, and then once that's done, you are literally able to dip into other worlds and really solid quality experience. I hope that kind of helps give you some more useful information. Okay, there we go. Have fun.